Okay, so last time, as you remembered, hello again. Um, I had showed you how to draw a dragon using various shapes of circles, triangle, kind of oval shapes, arc shapes, and S shapes and things to create a dragon to do the form. Today, I'm going to show you something more close related to us, uh, the human hand. So we're going to work on drawing the human hand today. First thing you need to do, if you remember right, is we're going to try to loosen up like the last time by doing a figure 8 like this to kind of warm our hand up. Remember the importance of keeping the arm and hand moving so that it's easier to draw that way. It's a lot more fluid to do it this way as I go back and forth. If I lose a little of my rhythm, if I want to do like that for a minute or just go like this, just to kind of get my hand and arm loose. Remember to draw lightly. We're not trying to press really hard to do this, but we're keeping a very light flowing touch. Excuse me. A light flowing touch to do this. Also, like I've talked about earlier here, we don't want to do drawings that are very tight and dark, where we're not really using our arm, and we don't want to do make little hairs, make our drawing out of these little hesitant hairs. But we want to make marks that show confidence and stuff that we, in our drawing. It shows a lot more confidence than putting little hairs like this. This is kind of indicating that you're not really sure of yourself. But if you keep moving and you keep your arm going like this, it gives you a lot more of a go for it feeling. It's a lot easier, that's a lot easier to draw a circle like this than it would be to draw as carefully and tight as possible. Then you can always go back and erase. So if you've warmed up, I already have a portion of the hand drawn. Now, obviously, it would be easier just to put my hand up here and do a tracing and just say I could be done with it, and be like, but what would you really understand about the structure of the hand? So here's the first shape I draw. If we look at the hand, we notice that it's kind of like a U shape that's kind of cut off at the top. It's a U shape or a U shape that's kind of capped off. So we have this shape here, this almost paddle type shape here for the very top of the hand. And one thing I want to do before we go on to draw our fingers is we have also this shape here, which is the pad of the hand, part of the padding of the hand, where the thumb then projects out of. So we're going to, again, shape familiar like with our dragon. We're going to come over here and we're going to create a little oval shape, a very light oval shape. And then we will attach the thumb to that on the end. So basically what we've got so far is a U shape capped off at the top and an oval here for the pad of the hand. We'll work on some other things here. This is something I'm just doing in general. Just worry about trying to get this U shape here and this oval. I'm just kind of working with some of the padding here too. Now, what we're going to do with our fingers as we go ahead and start this is we're going to, one thing you'll notice that the hand is very segmented off. So to get the proper proportion of how the fingers sit, we're going to start looking at where the joints hit in relation to each other from finger to finger to finger. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to make some sticks here. We're going to make, this is about in the center of the hand, would be the middle finger. And then we have here we have the other finger here, the ring finger, the middle finger. And again, if I have to make little adjustments to get it to look even more correct, we can do this. And then we have the third finger here, and then your pinky finger. Now, one thing I want to do with this pinky finger is you notice after I've done this, I'm just going to come here and I want to cut off just a little bit of the corner of that U shape because this finger kind of sits back just a little bit. And we'll make it go up like that. So we'll have that shape there. And how is this looking? Can you see it? Yes, you can. Okay, so the first thing we do is we're going to draw our pointing finger. So we're going to come up here and we're just going to make basic little cylinder shapes like this. Rectangular shapes for the shapes of our finger. So the first portion we're going to do is we're going to go here and draw our pointing finger. We're going to come up here with a segment and draw it like this. Now the next thing we're going to do is after we draw this like little box shape, like I've shown over here in the corner, this like rectangular shape. The first thing, and even the first thing we're going to do is look in relationship to the other finger. And even with this very quick light shape like that, then we're going to come up to the next finger. If you noticed, our middle finger, the joint is kind of up a little bit more than the other. It's just slightly up. They're almost equal, but just a slightly bit up from your pointing finger, from what would be your ring finger. And so we're going to come up here and we're going to draw this segment here, just slightly up this way, and we're going to create another little rectangular shape. Now there's a little bit of webbing in between the fingers here, so we'll make that connective little piece of tissue that goes in there. We don't want to make it real high, just to kind of make a U-ish type shape. In fact, when we were doing these sticks, we could have probably just made kind of U shapes going this way to create our hand, our finger. Now the next one we're going to be doing is our third finger, and if you notice, it comes down a little bit lower. So when we do this, we're going to draw the joint here. These are the joints we're drawing. We're going to draw this one that's almost equal to your pointer finger. So we're going to draw that right here. And it's almost equal. This sits up a little bit higher, and then we have that. We have our middle finger, or ring finger, and we have our third finger here, and then we have the third finger. The pinky finger comes down here, and where it hits, as far as relationships to the joint here, it almost hits at the base of this third finger here. So when we do this, we draw our finger up. It's almost at the base. We're going to put it like right there. For the most part, it's because, and we also have this kind of slant. That's why I wanted to create that slant when we made that U shape. And I'm going to use a marker for a minute. Like I said, we can always go back in so you can see it. But when we made that U shape, I had to kind of cut that off on the corner there and come this way because of the way the pinky finger sits, and that's where the little pinky finger would sit off to the side. So it was like this U shape. And then we cut off the little corner of it. Then we're going to go up here and do the next segment of our fingers. So now our next segment, we're going to come up here. And now we're going to come up to our pointer finger, and we're going to draw it up. And when you look at your hand or look at a hand, we don't want to go way long. We just want to make it we're just going to draw it up this way, make kind of a guesstimation here for the next segment of our finger. And then again, as we do this, the next segment will be our ring finger, and it's going to hit about right there. So if I want to stop for a minute, we have the segments we did here. Then the next segment up of our pointed finger is coming up here, and then our ring finger segment is coming up just a slight bit higher. This line here, a slight bit higher. So I'm gonna do this, and we're going to create our next box. But you're beginning to see it, and it looks kind of stiff right now, but it's just to give you an indication of how the joints hit in the finger in relationship to each other. So our ring finger comes up here. Then really we can really start putting the caps, which would be these kind of we'd make how can I describe these? It's kind of like this shape here. See how this shape kind of repeats here? This U shape, now we're turning it in the other direction. But now it's becoming the tips of the fingers. And so we have a tip of the finger like that. And then I said this section goes up here, so all I have to do is make the same thing. They're pretty much, if you look, they're pretty much the same in length for the most part. The only thing that makes the middle finger look like it's a little taller is where the joint hits, because it's a little bit longer, and then we're going to go ahead and put our shape over the top of the finger like this. Now, after I get this done, I may go over this a little bit with a little marker. I've been checking with my camera to see if you can see what I'm doing. It looks pretty good. Now, again, okay, our middle finger, we have it here. Then we're going to come up now and look in relationships as to where it hits. The next segment of the third finger hits just a little bit below that middle finger joint, that second joint that's coming up. With our first segments, our second segment, the second segment of the middle finger, the third finger hits just a little bit lower. And let me get that. And we're going to make another segment like this. And then we're going to put our cap on the top. Again, it's like this shape here, which is like that U shape. We're taking those same shapes. Like I said when we did with the dragon, the same shapes that we use for the teeth, we could use for its back. You know, there's a lot of repeating shapes. You'll find that in drawing. You'll see a lot of repeating shapes. Sometimes they'll be in different angles and different forms, but basically it's the same shape. It's just in a different way. And then we're going to come here with our next finger, our little pinky finger here. We had this second joint, and the second joint, now the second joint is going to hit, I need to have this go up just a little higher. If you need to make an adjustment, you can do that. This needs to go up just a little higher. Then the second joint of the pinky finger, it's going to hit even with the first base joint of the third finger. So it's going to hit here. If you can see on my hand how this comes up and hits right here at the where the second joint would begin. And then so we have this, we have 1, 2, and then again at the top. So we now have our pinky. Now this is just basically a demonstration of how the fingers hit in relationship to each other. When you draw your hand in different ways, and when we draw it in different ways, if you can just pay attention of how those cylinders hit in relationship, where the relationship of each segment of the figure hits in relationship to the finger next to it. This will help you draw your fingers more proportionally correct. And then, so basically we have this shape of the hand. I may shorten this a little bit. And then your thumb comes out here. Your thumb is like, again, it's going to come out to the side here. There's a little bit of a bump here. So if you want to make a little bit of a bump here, and then I'm running out of a little room on my paper, but then your thumb comes out like this. It's kind of like this, a little bit of an S shape. So I'm showing you, and then the little bump here, and then this comes out to the side here to make the thumb. So for the most, you can tell again that this is pretty much it. And then I can go back and erase and see how my lines erase pretty easy because I didn't draw so dark. And I can go back and erase as much as I need to finish doing my hand. Then I can go back in here and look at more details as far as the wrinkles in the hand, the lines in the hand, and so forth. And I can start going ahead and putting those in. And what we have basically pretty much here is a hand. Take a little fatness off that thumb so it doesn't look swollen. But then again, so basically what you had is we have created a hand out of the most basic forms and shapes of the hand. Again, we came in here with this U shape here that was capped off at the top. We have rectangular cylinder shapes. Again, we took this U shape, and this time we made it a little narrower, and put it on the tops of these fingers. And again, when we made this U shape, we did kind of cut off the end there, so it went here and down like that. I need to go back and say that because of how it sits. It kind of comes down and clunk, comes that way in proportion. Then we also have the oval shape, and then these S shape like this. The thumb. It's pretty easy to draw. Once you get this oval shape, it's just coming out, making a shape like that, and then you've got like a little bump here, and then so it's kind of like arcing shapes. But there you go, and you have basically a hand. If you reverse it, it's the same principle. If I go from the back side, I would do it the same way. We can do that. We could go from the other hand. That might be a good idea. Just go ahead and do the hand from the other side. Because obviously the wrinkles and stuff are going to look different. So you were basically doing the same thing as you did the front thing, but now we're doing the back of the hand. And we're going to do, again, another U-shape formation. Again, hand flowing. I'm going to cut this off. Again, now this time, that little chunk I was talking about where the thumb, little pinky fit, that's going to be on this side now because we're doing the back of the hand. Now it looks a little bit different here for the thumb area. We can still come up with a type of thumb area. We've got this, as you notice when I do this, it kind of hits like this. But this time, I think all we're going to do is just show a little bit. Because if you look like it comes this way, we see more of it here, that oval shape. Not so much this way. So we're going to come out here and we're just going to come out and make a little shape like this for a minute. It's going to come out, it's going to peek out at us a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start again with our fingers. You know, we could start if this had made it easier to come over here and start with my pinky finger. Again, we're going to make, here, let's do this again. Let's make our shapes. We got the pinky finger, and we're going to just kind of come like this. It might be easier to help to just kind of make these kind of views. It's still the stick shapes, but it just gives a little more of a flow. I'm kind of like making that kind of U-ish shape like that again with the fingers, because I'm thinking about with that little webbing in between our fingers, in between here. So I'm kind of just doing this and then coming through. And I may need to cut this down just a little bit because it might. Here, let me adjust something really quick because I need to make sure I have room for it so you can see the fingers. I'm going to take that off just for a minute. Okay. So we have this here and then up that way. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That way. But I've just kind of made those little U shapes like this. And it creates a little more of a flow for where the fingers are. And I'm just thinking that in terms of that little webbing we have in between that fingers. And that's how our fingers are kind of like, you know, that section that kind of loops them together is in there. So we're going to start with our pinky finger. Again, we'll just make that little cylinder shape. And we'll make it spread out. Okay, and then we're going to come in relationship to the next finger. Again, it's going to come up here. Like when I had it this way, it hit almost to the middle, the first joint, in relationship to the third finger of the hand. As we turn it over, it hits about like that again to a certain part, like right in the middle. But the second segment is going to be like that. Again, you can see this here, and it hits about bonk right there. And you can look at your own hand for this too. And then again, it's going to hit here, the ring finger, a little higher. And I'm going through it a little bit quicker this time because, you know, we're getting more of an understanding of it. And then again, your pointer finger, which is in reverse, is almost equal in joint to this one here. And I'm going to slow down a bit because I'm going to be like, wait, you're going too fast. Okay, so again, as you can see, the shapes again of where the joints hit of the first tops of the fingers in relationship to each other. And we have the pinky finger, the first joint here where the finger bends. Excuse mine, I've got a bent pinky, but it's hitting here. And then the next section of the hand or the finger is this joint relationship is hitting here. So you have this section here. It hits about in the middle of our third finger. And then our ring finger, we have another section where the wrinkles are on the top of the hand that hit just a little bit up. It's still the same. See now, and again, the pointer finger and the third finger, they almost hit equal. Of course, then your middle finger, ring finger, it's a little higher. And then you have, and now we can work on the next segments of our hand. We have our little pinky finger. It's going to hit again. We're just going to go ahead and draw this up. It's the next section. And the pinky finger, the second segment, hits about where this joint hits. So it's going to hit about right here where the second joint is. Make sure that right. You see, we got this little section here. We have this hit here, and then this section is going to hit about the middle of this. So the next one this has to go up a little higher. So you can see the relationship again. And then again, you have your middle finger. It's going to hit here. See how they're hitting? It hits a little higher. Let me make sure that you can actually see that. I don't want to say one thing and draw something different. See how that's hitting? The pinky finger hits about the middle of your finger next to the third finger, and then the next joint it hits up here. Again, if you look at your hand, you can see how the joints are hitting. And then we have this hits here, and then this comes up. They almost come up equal, almost on each side here. And the next segment hits here. And as you can see, we've only got the fingers done almost. And even got the joints here and here and then here. It's like 1, 2, 3 joints. So the pinky finger, and then we have this. Then your pointing finger hits equal to your third finger, because we're doing this in reverse. It's almost equal in joint. You're just because we know that these joint arrangements and where they hit are not going to be different. They're going to be the same each time. And then we go ahead and we'll put our tops onto the tops of our fingers. Again, we're using those U shapes. But we've looked at each where all the joints are hitting, where everything is hitting. Now, obviously, these would be wrinkles, so you can put your wrinkles in here over where your fingers are. You can erase then, and the same with the back of your fingers, erase where those joints is and make them look a little more human or a little less robotic by putting your little wrinkles where the joints hit in your finger. So that we can tell the difference between the front of the hand and the back of the hand. So again, the pinky finger joint hits about at the middle part of our third finger. And then the middle finger joint, that first one that comes up from there, it hits above. The third hits about where the joint is from the third finger. And then your pointing finger, it hits almost equal to the third finger. They're almost identical. And then we just work our joints up from there, where the pinky finger joint comes up here a little bit, and it hits about a little bit around near the base of the third finger. And then we put our cap on. But look, I'm going to do it like this, so you can see what I'm talking about even more so. This time I am going to use a marker, so you can see where the various joints hit of the finger in relationship to each other. This hits a little bit higher. And you have the top. Then you have your fingers. Now you come down where your thumb is, and again, you're going to come down here. I said a little bit of this is showing this way. You have that little knuckle region, and then again, you could almost draw the thumb in the same way, but you're doing it in the other direction. And actually, I think my thumb needs to go up a little bit higher. I think it's... And then you have your thumb that comes out to the side of your hand. And it always kind of sits down. You don't want to never make your thumb way up here. It always sits down a little bit lower. And there you have it for both your hands. Then you can go back in and you can put your details in it, where your knuckles hit down here. If any, the veins and things like that, you can put down here. If it helps, you can even indicate where the knuckles hit in the back of the hand. and the veins and various things. As you look at your hand, it's very interesting to look at, and you can put other details in your hand as you do it. So hopefully this was understandable as far as how to draw the hand, how to draw the fingers in relationship to each other, where the joints hit in relationship to each other so that your hand will be properly proportioned. We can tell this is a hand. It looks like a human hand. And I know I'm going over it with marker again, but... And then, you put your, the nails would go in the top of the hand, obviously. You put your nails in at the very top of the hand. But basically, the arrangement of the fingers doesn't change whether you go to the front or the back. The arrangement is still the same. All right, so you look at your hand, practice drawing your hand. I've got other lessons to teach on how to draw the hand in various positions and how this shape changes as it bends and forms. This shape doesn't, obviously the shape of the hand changes when it moves in different ways. So I'll address that in the next videos. And I hope you got something out of this. Let me know what you think of the videos, and I'll talk to you later.